Hey guys, welcome back. I know it's been way too long since you've seen a video from me. I've got a lot of exciting news for 2018. That's going to be in a hopefully different video, but today we're going to install the Weeks Stage 1 kit on the 2006 Jeep Liberty CRD. Alright, as you guys know, back in October I had a little bit of struggles with the Jeep and I decided I was going to sell it. Fast forward over 2 months, I haven't been able to sell it. So the week of Christmas I pulled the ad down and I decided, hey, I still have this EGR delete kit. Weeks 1 from Sasquatch, performance parts. It's really not technically an literal EGR delete kit. What I'm actually doing is I'll be disabling the EGR, and I am taking out a major component. It's sort of it's like an intake elbow. It's, long story short, it's easiest to call it an EGR delete kit, even though the stage 1 isn't technically deleting the EGR itself. So I was gonna do a how-to on this until I double checked and searched on YouTube EGR delete kit, and the guys over at Get It Garage, that's G-I-T, then It Garage, they're doing a series of videos on the CRD, and they have a really good one that I don't know that I could do any better than on installing this kit. And by and large, they follow these instructions to a T that come from Sasquatch Performance Parts, and they just did a tremendous job of getting the camera in spots where I didn't think you could get them to show you how to do it. There's only maybe 2 things that I think I would have done differently than what they did. Part of that's because they also have the Stage 2 Weeks kit, whereas I only have Stage 1. So kind of where they stopped, they knew they were going to replace a different component that I won't be. So I'll show you that. But otherwise, I'll leave a link in the description below. Somewhere down in this area. Maybe it's over here. Maybe over here. Anyway, for their video, I think they did a great job. I'm not going to try to one-up them. So check out their channel. Subscribe to them as well. They've got for all your CRD stuff. But I figure just as well, since I have the parts, I'm going to install it on this. Since I pulled the ad for this the week of Christmas, figured unless you're buying a Lexus with a giant red bow on it, nobody was really going to want to buy a vehicle the week of Christmas. So I just as well installed the parts. I think it's going to make for a better test drive for anybody who's interested in it. And it's also like less than 1,000 miles due for another fuel filter. And one of the things on this, the instructions, they tell you you're basically doing, I don't know, a quarter of the work that you do to replace the fuel filter. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That fuel filter hasn't arrived yet, which, by the way, this is probably going to be recorded over a series of days. Today is Wednesday, December 27th, as I record this. It has been single-digit weather outside for the longest time. It is in the 40s here in the garage, so I'm going to see how long I can tolerate working out here. I think I have most everything I need to do the install, but this is the beauty of having a third vehicle. It's my parents' vehicle I'm borrowing. If I don't get this done in one day, that's okay. I'll come back at it tomorrow. So I guess keep track of how many outfits I wear and you'll know how many days No, I'll try to let you know how many days this takes me, but it's not like a multi-day install operation. I think if you had a good Saturday wide open, you could probably do it in, I'm going to guess, like 4 hours complete start to finish, but who knows. I'll try to keep track of time on that. But yeah, let's get going on removing some old junk. Okay, so one of the controversial bits from my fuel filter how-to video was a lot of debate on whether you should remove the positive or negative terminal. Good discussion there and good dialogue. But for this install, because you need the room to avoid all doubt, we remove the battery anyway. So no debate now. Okay, so as I mentioned, I was due up for a fuel filter. I was under 1,000 miles from my 20,000 mile interval, so I went ahead and moved the fuel head, which would have been right in here. The Sasquatch performance instructions tell you to take the fuel head off so you can move it out of your way to give yourself more room, because we are going to be working right in, here, let's see here. Right in here, see that? Of course I'm casting shadow. That is the intake elbow we're trying to take off. That's where we're going to be working. As you can see, getting that out of your way gives you a lot more room to work. So, but again, nothing really that different other than I'm taking it all off because I got to put a new fuel filter on anyway. I haven't got that in the mail yet, but the part has been ordered. It's on the way. This is the water and fuel sensor we have to untie from the bottom. Again, you can, if you want to know how to do a fuel filter change, I got a video on that. It happens to be one of my most popular videos, but regardless, we are going to be taking this elbow off, which this is primarily the part that we are ditching for a new intake elbow. Again, Get It Garage does a great job, so I don't know how much I'm going to show from here on out, but that's one of the issues that is different from mine to theirs. Alright, so it's actually day 2, and I didn't change. I bought, in the meantime, I got my fuel filter in from idparts.com. So, spent about an hour and a half yesterday, and that was probably longer than it should have. I was doing part 2. One second. That was doing part 2 on Amazon Prime. I bought these nut drivers when I meant to buy these. These are actually on loan from Greg's Garage. So yesterday when I was driving home from work, knowing I needed an Allen driver, went to the local hardware store. They did not have them, so I bought some of these. Surprisingly, I got 3 of the 4 out on the I don't even know what you call it. I'll have to look that up. But then ultimately on the hardest one to get to, which I was pretty sure I wasn't going to get anyway, Allen wrench fell out of my hand and then fell on top of the skid plate, so I'm probably going to have to remove the skid plate now to get that. So anyway, for now we're going to pick up where we left off using this from, thanks again Greg, from Greg's Garage. Alright, so here we are. This is the EGR flow control valve. That's and I was able to get out 3 of the 4 just with an Allen wrench. Now I did have to use a vice grips on one, but ultimately I still have, there we go, down that way. Still got to get that one out, so we'll use the Allen driver. Alright, so one of the first things I did was actually drop this in my skid plate. So if you want to know, 15mm wrench will get that done for you. Okay, for me, I had to pull this sensor out. It's like below the alternator over there. It's just getting in the way of me being able to get that Allen driver back in there at a good angle that I can actually get in there and break it loose. So as soon as I get this off though, I'm going to plug that right back in because I don't know what it is and I don't want to forget it. Alright guys, it is now day 3. Yes, day 3. I'll show you why here in a bit. So we did an hour and a half the first night, 2 hours last night, and that was just a struggle among struggles. And you want to know why? I will show you. Okay, so this is the entire elbow that I'm replacing, and I should probably put the new parts next to it, but basically this is all going to become one streamlined tube. Let me just grab that. Okay, so this is what we're replacing it with. But anyway, the instructions want you to pull off this component first, and that was the one that had the Allen head I was telling you about. And this one was pretty much blind, and so that's where I got the socket driver. But as you can see, so the size of this guy was just perfect enough that it was really hard to blindly get in there nice and straight, get it in deep enough so it would walk, and as a result I stripped out the threads, you can see. So, which when I read the instructions, I'd always wondered why you had to take this off anyway, because it comes off here from the intake. And so luckily I was able to get it out without. Now, if you want to know why I'm replacing this thing, this is why. Look at that. Let me throw my headlamp on here. Look at that sludge build up. I mean, this is maybe close to 1/4 of an inch all the way from here to here, and then a big chunk there. Yeah, eliminating this, now that we won't have an EGR connecting back to the intake side, we're going to get rid of a lot of that. So anyway, and as you can see, you know, just from a simplicity of parts, which one do you think is going to flow better, right? Anyway, I'm going to jump back on the install. I'm about 45 minutes in. It was a bear to get. There was another blind, somewhat blind. I mean, you could see it from down below. Luckily, these bolts that held it to the intake weren't torqued on very tight at all, so that is pretty easy to remove. But I now have to go scrape some gasket and clean up the intake side before we install the new part. But just so you guys know, it is possible to remove it all as one component. So if you want, now I don't necessarily suggest that you get everything you remove, you just get more clearance for the next thing. but yeah. So anyway, there's one other thing. There's this bracket that there's like a wiring harness that goes through it. Mine was already out of it, so I didn't bother removing that either. But anyway, the instructions tell you to remove that as well.